Padres Hot Tub is a supported by listeners community, also known as a listener-supported community. I don't know why I flipped the sentence, but I did. And as a point of fact, patrons have been streaming in for the last couple of weeks as the Padres bats have heated up, as the trades have rolled in, as the deadline rolled by. And you can join the fastest growing fun community, a great place to be with Padres fans down the stretch as the Pods battle for the pennant. Go to patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. As we did a deadline show in front of well over 150 patrons, been doing post-game shows after all the wins. One of the comments that keeps coming back to us from the community is, I've been on a lot of boards. I've been on Reddit boards. I've been on Twitter. I've been on Blue Sky. And being on the Padres Hot Tub Discord, this is a community I like. I don't agree with everybody every single day, but this is a community I like. This is a place I like to hang out. And guys, when I get that feedback back from our patrons saying thank you for creating this community, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, there was a longtime guy who I've literally went and had lunch with because he lives in our neighborhood in the Discord the other day, and he was like, I like Chris, Craig, and Raphie. You know, they give us thought-provoking content, and that's nice. But why I am a patron and where my value comes from was the community and getting to hear different voices, not just about Padres baseball, although much of our conversation is centered around them, but just an online place that isn't complete garbage, where everyone kind of knows your name. They may not know your face, but they know your name, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason it self-selects is simple. People are putting their money where their mouth is because they're saying, we support this team, we support the show, we support this community. And so everyone who's there wants to be there. You're not getting trolls who are just kind of slithering in and just like, oh, I might as well just take a dump right here in this forum. Like, no, it's all people who want to be here, who love the community, who care about it, who want to see it grow. And if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, come join us.
Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Deadline edition, post 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals edition, recording on Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. We're going to go back to the deadline a little bit, a couple of abridged thoughts. If you didn't go through our 2-hour trade deadline extravaganza, we'll look at the balance of power in the National League. We'll look at the Cardinals series. We'll look at our newly named five-finger death punch bullpen and how that's starting to settle in. We'll look ahead to the schedule this week. That's what's going on this episode of Padres Hot Tub. Couple of very, very quick housekeeping notes. If you happen to be a Padres Hot Tub patron and you're looking for banter, no banter again this week. But there's a reason this time, not just us not wanting to do it. We like to do banter. It's not that we don't want to do banter, but we haven't done it the last couple weeks. However, 3 new Pods Above Replacement episodes coming out. They're back! Holy cow, Raphie and John, back from hibernation. Trade deadline shook Pracoda out of his office. He opened up office hours, huh, Raphie?
Yeah, well, Pracoda, for folks who don't know, just had a baby. And he's also doing a surgery rotation right now on his med school. So I was very honored that he would be willing to spend his one off day a week talking with me about the Padres trade deadline, which we did. And we did so much so that we actually decided to split our conversation into 3 episodes because instead of releasing one almost 3-hour long show. Which is what we did all morning this morning. And we just had, I love talking to John so much. He just completely challenges me in the way that I think about these players and this team. And, you know, we talked about a lot, pluses and minuses about this deadline, but I think we both kind of came away just like really excited and flabbergasted about what happened on Thursday and what could happen for the Padres this year.
Second piece of housekeeping. It always does seem to happen around trade deadline and around Padres winning streaks, but we've had a giant influx of new patrons to patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, and Chris has the magic mirror out to say hi to some new friends.
Yes, I want to thank you all by name because we very much appreciate it. We hope you holler at us in the Discord, whether
Cheers
it be
to you.
In the Padres channel or hashtag new to the tub, wherever you find us. Say hello in the Discord after we say hello to you right now. Hello, Tony. Hello, Michael. Hello, 250. Hello, Ron. Hello, Keegan. Hello, Peter. Hello, Scotland. Andy, Russell, Brian, Gordon. Meet. I think that might be the same. Oh, I'm saying the thing first. Downtown, Damon, Sarah, David, Jay White, Holland, Jake, Kyle, Reed, Parker, Cruz, Ryan, Micah, Sherman, Padre, Scott, Sean, and Carlos. If you put it on the teleprompter, Ron will read it. Welcome to the hot tub, everybody.
Meet and meet. Both in. It will be a battle for meat supremacy. Careful on that corner of the Discord. The meat channel is going to be one of actual Discord. But we digress. Thanks to everybody for being there. It is so fun to see just the community popping and Padres fans popping and everybody excited. And this is a result of what AJ Preller did, which was once again, find a way to replenish his battery and restock his farm system with enough chips to be able to assemble the points necessary to get all the things he wanted. I thought in particular the Baltimore trade, which was entirely comprised of players he drafted a year earlier. Like, come on. That's the definition of his renewable resource. Like, he drafted some dudes this year, so next year those guys might be right out the door. But what he has figured out is multiple things. But the one he's exploiting every year, guys, is the ability to create buzz in his minor league system in the levels AA and below that get other GMs dreaming on his players and saying, well, this guy might turn out to be a boat. And as a result, he's able to execute these trades. Obviously, there's going to be somebody out of the group, DeVries or multiples, that wind up being excellent players in Major League Baseball. And yet he finds the way every year to do it.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things when John and I were researching pods above replacement was I was going back through how Fangraphs values prospects based on their future value assignment ranking. So, where they are on the 2080 scale, so to speak. And I came across this article from 2018 that basically said that for position players who are given a 50 future value ranking, half of those guys bust. Half. And that's a 50 future value is a great prospect. I don't think that the Padres outside of Ethan Salas have a 50 future value prospect remaining in their farm system after this. So you think about Ethan Salas being the only one above the 50 future value threshold, and 50 future value is the 50-50 watermark for whether a prospect's going to bust or not, is quite significant. And so do I think that one of the guys in the six pack of prospects that were traded to Baltimore will pan out? Probably one of those guys will be in the major leagues. Probably, it's a good chance that one of them turns out to be something good. But for the other five, they might not turn into anything. Even when you get as high as a 60 future value prospect, which is what a lot of town evaluators had at Leo DeVries, that has a bust rate of almost 30%. Like where those guys don't even make it to the major leagues. A bust is defined as anyone who generates less than one WAR in their career.
Yeah.
So 30% on someone as rated as highly as Leo DeVries is quite remarkable. And so I think, again, like AJ is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush is AJ's motto. You know what I mean? And so for, with Laureano and O'Hearn, he got two birds and there's 6 in the bush that are back in Baltimore, 6 in the Chesapeake Bay. They're going to have some nice Old Bay seasoning and, will be some tasty crab cakes or something in 2028. But for now, they're still swimming down there. So I'm gonna shut up with this metaphor because it's not working anymore.
Yeah, Chris really handles the nautical metaphors more, the Bayside metaphors.
It's all right. You're welcome to slide into my department anytime, Raphie, especially if it gets me thinking about crab cakes. It's pretty great. Future value, nice. Ramon Laureano hitting Oppo Taco shots against the Cardinals today, winning a series against the Cardinals. That's better, man. And I was doing the same thing, Raphie, just kind of going back on Fangraphs over old trades and the sheer volume of guys that AJ has seen dealt. And, sometimes they come back to us like Jackson Wolf or whatnot, but a lot of the times they don't. And then you literally never hear their names again. By contrast, there are dudes who have created a Padres lineup that is as deep as any of the division favorites that are currently in Major League Baseball and supplemented a bullpen that was already the best in the game. So a lot to feel good about the 2025 Padres, especially getting to see kind of the results of the moves the past few days.
Something kind of went through my mind the other day, and I'm not going to dive into somebody else's discussion, but when the idea is brought up, and it's brought up in our Discord as well, so not often, but it is, so that's the direction I'll go with it, that like, boy, wouldn't it be something if we graduated some of our prospects instead of constantly turning them into trade churn? What if we had a team built out of our minor league system? Wouldn't we be potentially competitive and affordable at the same time with more flexibility? I see this stuff, the contrarian, hedging on Preller's approach, because Preller's approach is well established now. That's just never going to happen. As Raphie said on our trade deadline show, unless you're a projectable all-star, he doesn't care. And if you are a projectable all-star, he'll still use you if he can go get another all-star and control that person for 4 years and know that person's number, a la Mason Miller. Mason Miller, he has a really good idea of what Mason Miller is going to do the next 5 years. He doesn't know what Leo DeVries is going to do. Might be this, might be that. But I this is something I thought about and just wanted to bounce off the wall like a racquetball at you guys, which was wave 0. Remember waves of prospects?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Waves of prospects.
I remember the Aswahe wave.
Thank you. That's actually my point. Because the waves were coming. And like Gore was supposed to, I think, be maybe the crest of the first wave. But before that came wave 0. And wave 0 was Manny Margot and Hunter Renfroe and Carlos Aswahe. Right? And there was somebody else in that group too.
Oh, how dare you forget Austin Hedges?
Austin Hedges. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I swear to you guys, I have this thought. It's a narrative, so it's probably wrong. But if I was writing the Moneyball, but it's AJ Preller movie script, like I kind of feel like from 2016 to 2019, he actually thought, I'm going to build a minor league engine that's going to just supply wave after wave of talent to this team, and we're going to build a championship team that way. And then he saw his first wave, and every one of those guys had big-time hype. Hedges had hype, Margot, big-time hype, Aswahe, slick glove, great bat, all Jankowski, right? Like, they sucked. The team lost. It was bad. It was boring. It was feeble. It was flaccid. The team was not good. And you're like, oh, well, give them 3-4 years. Maybe they'll develop into something really that. He's like, fuck that. What if we traded them all and got players in here that'll help me win? What if I trade Luis Patino and Blake Hunt and everything else? Just go get Blake Snell. What if I trade all these guys? Just go trade Owen Cassie and all these guys, and just go get you Darvish. Just go get Joe Musgrove. Just go get all these guys, and let's go win. Let's go play ball and win. And that's what he's been doing every year from 2020 on. And I do wonder if a Renfroe, Margot, a Suaje, Hedges-led team won 85 games, showed promise, showed an ability to come together as a unit, if he would have gone down the same road, or if he was like, fuck this, we're signing Manny Machado, we're trading for every veteran starter we can, and we're ready to go.
Well, I think also, Craig, it's worth even going back further, because before Wave Zero, there was 2015 when he tried to supercharge and accelerate the rebuild and basically do what he's doing now. The difference is he didn't know how to build a roster then, and he built an entirely right-handed constructed lineup. Look, we're not going to do that. We're not going to rehash 2015 at this point, but you guys were there. You know what happened, and it sucked. And so it almost feels like 2014 into 15 was like one side of the spectrum. And then the Wave Zero 2017, 18, 19 was like all the way on the other side of the spectrum. And then now it's just kind of slowly gotten to the middle, where now he's settled into like, okay, like, yes, I can use these guys just as assets, which was probably what his thinking was back in 2014. That was probably his mindset. But he just didn't have the gumption as a general manager yet to know how to build a squad. And when he finally was able to get those guys who did pan out, when he was finally able to get Ron Fowler and then Peter Seidler to open up their wallets and sign Manny Machado and extend Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill, et cetera. We're not going to talk about Xander Bogaerts deal for now, but you get the point. Then he was able to say, okay, I've got my core. The core is there. I have my all-stars. My all-star ceilings are there. Now can I go out and use these prospects as capital and basically bring my original theory back into play? And I mean, look, his inefficiency is he does outwork other general managers. He just does. He's got his big gulp and his bucket hat and his trash bag of shit that he drags from Wisconsin backfield to some town in the Dominican and back again, and sometimes is at the Denny's and Encinitas after pickup basketball. And that's his life. And I'm so dang happy that that's my general manager, because he's doing it. He's doing it in a way that no one else is doing it. And it's truly the trade deadline, whatever you want to say, it's AJ Preller's world, and we're living in it. And the rest of baseball is living in it. In their winners and losers article for Fangraphs, Ben Clemens didn't put the Padres as a winner or loser. He said force of nature, AJ Preller. That's it. And I think it's perfect encapsulation of it.
Be it his work ethic or natural talent or knack for whatever it is, or maybe he's just gotten better in a decade on the job. None of this happens unless other teams value AJ's scouting ability.
Correct.
And for
That's right.
the third or fourth year in a row now, we're seeing that they value what he sees in players, and that, a fourth round pick by AJ Preller isn't held in the same esteem as a fourth round pick by other guys. And I understand fans wanting to be along with the journey for prospects. I mean, you guys heard me on the trade deadline show. I was hit hard by Leo Dallas DeVries being shipped to a different organization. I love buying into the story of these people, not assets, not property or anything like that, of these people, of these human beings. And that dude had been with the Padres organization as a young teenager and was playing for his favorite team. So I understand fans' disappointment with not getting to be along with that ride until the victory lap. I understand it completely. But at the same time, a lot of those folks that's like the baseball card world. That's like buying Bowman prospect cards and hoping for them. And what AJ has done is set a certain threshold of performance that you need to have to be a starting nine of the Padres. Now, do I wish that threshold could be addressed a little earlier in the season, like maybe in the off season, so that you don't have to ship away the prospect capital come the trade deadline? Like, that would be nice, but it's not necessarily how reality works. And if you want to be a fan of that type of team, there's lots of teams out there that do nothing but operate on the margins of analytics and of not spending money on their major league roster. Like, there's lots of places out there that will never ever spend on a Xander Bogaerts with a track record and maybe overpay a little bit, but that's what the market dictates for you to get a guy you can slot in your starting nine for how many years and not question it. And the Padres love to not question it. They're not the Tigers. They're not playing the platoon splits, limiting guys from even getting exposure to having to face their same side of arm. But at the end of the day, like, they have a starting nine that is filled with dependable dudes. Like, Jacob Cronenworth is hitting 8 on the San Diego Padres because of how AJ Preller built his team. And I understand folks being disappointed with how it comes and not getting to see some stories, play out for the Padres. But you know what? There's always new stories. Now we get to root for Ramon Laureano for a couple years. Now we get to root for Mason Miller, a dude who's a true freak, who does things that no other human being who has played baseball has ever done. And he's a San Diego Padre. And that excitement is real. And that story is real. And you know what he being on the team gives us a better chance to do? That's win. And that's the point of the story. The point of putting on these hats and putting on brown and gold and walking around town is you want to watch a winning team and you want to win a championship. And I'm stoked that AJ Preller is fully committed to that, just like you, Raphie.
And the other point that I feel like just has to continue to be illustrated, right? This organization plays rewind, erase the whiteboard, restart. For 3 decades, working in San Diego sports talk media, there have been certain things that we all accept as the built-in excuses of why San Diego cannot compete with LA or other massive, teams in whatever world. Here's the one that when it was said to me, is like, yeah, San Diego has the ocean to the left, Mexico to the south, to the right, desert, and to the north, Los Angeles. We're completely boxed in. There's no room for growth. Take, for example, the Rockies. They have like 11 states that they draw fans from to come to see the Colorado Rockies play. We don't even have 100 miles in any direction to draw fans in. Not in any direction, not 100 miles. We can't do it. We don't have a television contract, right? We're the sleepy city by the sea. We're a city of expatriates. All of these things that have been said for years and years. AJ Preller has turned this place into a baseball town. He has turned San Diego into a hotbed. The Padres draw as well as any team in Major League Baseball now, which is something that when I moved here in 1990 was laughable. And in 2015 was laughable. And in 2019 was laughable. And in 2021, we started coming out as a city when Tatis, was signed. And ever since then, we have supported the living hell out of this team. But within all of that, AJ Preller hasn't had the opportunity to build and cultivate his garden and see all of his flowers grow and see what beauty he can create. You know why? There's a fucking bear that tramples the garden and destroys everything. And it's right up the road. And if you ask, why doesn't he tell his garden better? Why isn't he a better gardener? It's because he has to fight off the bear.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep a garden with a bear around. And that's LA.
A dragon, to use the parlance of the man.
Sure. My point is, just like Theo Epstein couldn't slow build his Red Sox in the early 2000s because the Yankees were spending twice as much as any other team to get Gary Sheffield and Kevin Brown and every other player in the universe to come play for them. Thusly, the Dodgers have broken the system. They're spending $500 million this year with penalties on payroll. They spend twice as much as any other team. They have broken it all, and we're trying to beat them every year. And we're the team that they're the most scared of any team in Major League Baseball. So it's not the same. It's a war footing, is what I'm saying, for AJ Preller. He doesn't have the luxury of waiting to see whether Leo Dallas DeVries becomes an all-star player in 2028, because by then, LA could have won 3 more championships. And the goal is to win and to beat those fuckers. So I'm deeply appreciative of this. I'm deeply appreciative of the fact that this team is lined up for 2026. This team makes sense for the next 2 years as a straight championship contender. And even when Cease and Suarez and Arise depart at the end of the year, this team is set up as a championship contender in 2026. And as long as you keep AJ Preller along, I'm pretty sure that every year he's going to make the adjustments to keep this team in the fight.
Yeah. And I mean, it's almost like a mutually assured destruction thing that Preller has constructed with the Padres organization, because if they get rid of him, guess what? They're going to have a Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts aging into their late 30s, paying them a combined $65 million a year. And they're not going to have the person who's going to be able to get the renewable prospects to keep the battery running that's being taxed at that level. And so it's kind of like I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me sort of a situation with Preller, where it's like he is that force of nature. Even within the organization, he's dictating the terms of, he's constructed a machine that only he knows how to run in some way. And
that's a great point.
I don't know, but it's kind of fun. And just to your point, Craig, about 2028, which is probably not even when Leo Dallas DeVries is going to be good or peaking. Like, it's probably going to be when he debuts, maybe 27. Just as a reminder for folks, in 2028, Leo DeVries is going to be 21 years old, And
yeah,
to be frank, I don't know, like 2029, 2030, when Leo really is going to make an impact, who's to say what happens between now and then? But the Padres are going to be paying a lot of money to a lot of guys who are going to be older. And I don't know what the state of the franchise is going to be. And I hesitate to use the word window, but I do want to, but I will say that the next 3 to 4 years, I think, are when the current Padres as constructed now are constructed to be built to win. So whatever you can do to maximize that, that's good for the team. AJ could do something. There's plenty of time. 5 years from now, AJ could do something. There's going to be a new collective bargaining agreement. We don't even know what baseball is going to look like in 3 years. But
true.
I think this team is built to be good from now through 2028. And, after that, who's to say? We'll be in the disputed lands, as we like to say on the show.
Hopefully AJ gets the security that he's not going anywhere for a while. His contract is up after next year, correct? He will, if I'm not wrong, his extension.
That is correct.
2026. And hopefully he gets the security needed to maintain a 5-year plan for the club and make the adjustments that he's going to need to do. The club traded away about $14 million in prospects just to avoid paying their new additions this trade deadline, in the form of $5 million for Nestor Cortez, $5.5 million for Ryan O'Hearn, and nearly $3 million for Ramon Laureano. I don't know what that means for 2026 in terms of their willingness to financially commit to the championship team. And if AJ is forced to go bargain bin shopping again in the offseason and, not able to fill whatever hole Luis Arias is going to leave because Ryan O'Hearn is also leaving, or fill whatever hole Dylan Cease or Michael King might leave, that this trade deadline doesn't make me optimistic for that. But what it makes me optimistic for is that AJ deserves an extension. He deserves to be woven into the fabric of the Padres even more.
Listen, I just feel very strongly about one thing. Well, many things, but this thing I feel strongly about. 2023 was a dying man's last hurrah.
Well, come on. Let's hold on that. No. Whoa, man. Like, Shiel Seidler has said publicly that his demise was unexpected. Let's not make that assumption, please. Like, we don't know the state of Peter Seidler's health. We know he died of, some sort of infection, and we know his health wasn't good. But let's not jump to that big of a generality. I think that's narrative building on our part.
Okay.
Too bold. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it, but yeah.
I don't personally trust Shiel Seidler's words. I think she's built as many narratives as anybody.
True. Fair.
The point I'm driving at is this. In 2023, the Padres' payroll was around $260 million. That may happen again in an inflationary time 10 or 11 years from now when that is
cost $90
when that's the price of the 8th or 10th best payroll in baseball. So I'm not going to say that's never going to happen again because it's silly if you go back and look at what the Yankees payroll was in 2003, and then you're like, whoa, but that was 2 times as much as anybody else. Everything's always proportional. But I don't think the Padres ever again will be spending at the level of Los Angeles like they did in 2023. And whether that was a dying man's last wish to try and super jump his team, or it was a business plan that was designed to super inflate the payroll for a very short and defined period of time in order to get the virtuous cycle rolling before it gets pared back. I just, as much as I really appreciated it, and when you got to it, Chris, I thought it was a compelling argument. The argument of if you paid Tanner Scott $55 million in the offseason, you don't trade Leo DeVries at the deadline. However, you get Tanner Scott, you don't get Mason Miller. Mason Miller greater than Tanner Scott, who's injured and has had a bad year. It's had a bad year. Like, he would have hurt the Padres if he was on the team this year. Now, we wouldn't have known that. But that's a compelling argument. That's an argument I can accept. I just believe that when Pedro said, I'm going to speak from the grave, his voice is those contracts. It's Machado's extension. It's Bogart's deal. It's Cronenworth's deal. It's Merrill's deal. It's Yu's deal. It's all of those deals that put the Padres at, well, you've got this team and you're at $195 million, and now you've got to fill these 6 slots. And that's the world I'm willing to live in throughout the remainder of these contracts, because I can see that AJ Preller has proven year after year he is adroit, he is dexterous, and he has the ability to maneuver around these gigantic contracts and find, sometimes it's a bargain bin failure, sometimes it's a bargain bin success. He has to fix it along the way. His teams in April are never as good as his teams in August, but I now trust this guy to the point that I would actually say that this offseason, a la Ruben Niebla, the number one priority of the Padres should be to lock in AJ Preller through 2034 and to make sure that this brilliant baseball mind continues to mind this store.
Yeah, that's all fair, Craig. And I think just real quick to just I align with the narrative that the Padres see the opportunity of being the ticket in town and wanted to invest in it because they saw how the stadium got filled with Manny and Tatis, and that it was a moment that investing in the city, investing in the fans, investing in a winning team could build them something that lasts a generation. Like there are kids in other cities wearing Nando jerseys right now. And if you look around San Diego, all the kids are wearing them. So I feel like it's more of a business than the narrative. But the idea that Tanner Scott would have performed the same as he is with the Dodgers, they just like, go ahead, Raphie, make your point. I've lost mine.
No, I was just going to say I was getting almost emotional hearing Craig talk about it. Like just of AJ being this sort of, I don't know. He's thinking. I was explaining all of this, like because I had done 3 hours of podcasting this morning. And I was explaining all of this to my wife, and like I ended up doing the whole like narrative, and she was very patient, and she listened to me, and it was all like she's very interested. And I like went back and I talked about 2014 and the Aswahe wave. Like I had this whole conversation on a hike today, and I talked about it in the context of Moneyball, in the context of taking ingrained systems, and that because that's what that movie's about. It's not about baseball. It's about economics, and it's about fighting against institutional knowledge. And in a way, I don't want to deify this man who I think is has shown that he has flaws, and certainly there's been a lot of writing about there being a yes man culture inside of the front office and like et cetera. I'm not trying to say this is perfect, but in terms of fighting against the institutional knowledge that basically he's fighting against Moneyball. Like it's now 20 years on, and it's swung so far in the direction where now it's like prospects are king, prospects are God, because prospects are economic rent. It is value that we can extract, and that's actually what baseball is about. And AJ is almost saying like, actually, like, yes, and baseball is about winning games. And if baseball's about winning games today, not winning games 3 years from now. And, look, that's not how you should spend money. That's not how you should spend a credit card. And I think that that's part of the problem with baseball now is that baseball does treat these people as money. Baseball does treat these people. They're like we as a baseball culture think about everything now in dollars. And there was a time where that was revolutionary, and that was kind of like changing the way people thought. And there was a market inefficiency to take advantage of now. But now it's like almost the market inefficiency is like treating these prospects as people, and treating these star players as people, and thinking about them in that context of them being human beings. And what I mean by that is prospects are human beings in that they are fallible. They don't always pan out. They don't always work out. And you have to really reckon with that instead of hugging them, in order to then open up the possibilities of then the other side of humanity, which is exceptional, like truly exceptional talent, truly exceptional human beings, and looking at someone like Mason Miller and saying that guy is rare. That guy does not come around a lot. And I know you can say the same thing about Leo Dallas DeVries. And one day, Leo Dallas DeVries, I'm sure look, actually, I'm not sure, because I just spent this whole thing talking about how 30% of prospects at his rate bust. But Leo Dallas DeVries has a really good chance at being a guy that someday AJ Preller might want to trade for again. But right now, he's a promise. It could be anything. He could even be a boat, as you said, Craig. Whereas Mason Miller is a boat right now.
Yes.
Yu Darvish is a boat right now.
Speedboat.
You know,
Yeah.
you can say that for tons of guys who are on the Padres. And you can say it about any of the Rhino Hearn or Ramon Laureano, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, yes, like Leo Dallas DeVries, he's still in the dry docks down in Barrio Logan. All right. And Mason Miller, he's fucking on a speedboat with a bag of cocaine, riding underneath the Coronado Bridge. There's fucking dudes tubing and wakeboarding behind his boat. And AJ's like, I want to be on that boat. I don't want to be in the dry docks. I want to be on the boat. Anyway,
please stop using boat metaphors. You don't know what dry docks are for. Good Lord.
I'm in Chris's lane now.
You're just in my lane talking about boats, and it makes no sense. He'd be in the dry dock because he was old and busted.
Absorbing all the nautical metaphors on one show. Even after I brought it up, he went right back towards the breakwater. Chris, he rode out toward the breakwater again.
Now I'm purposely going to start getting things wrong. I'm going to be like, the right side of the ship, the port side, and the left side, the starboard.
Son of a
just watch
bitch.
Chris explode.
I got back to where I was thinking, Craig, and I'm torn between two lines of thought. Dude, I remember the roster, the payroll starting with a 4. And it's always going to start with a 4. I remember those days. The excuses about the San Diego market and what it could and couldn't support. And I see what the Cardinals have done. It took them all of a year and a half of losing, and their fan base evaporated, and it stopped being the town that it was. And I don't want San Diego to end up like that, and I don't think it will. And that's all I go at, is eventually that will happen if your marquee talent gets traded away year in and year out. But as the tweet said that we talked about on the trade deadline show, that Raphie said, there's a bit of me that's an insipid cretin, because we have seen AJ refill the bank account year in and year out with his talent. And it just goes back to the same point we've all made. The best thing that the Padres ownership group could do to make anybody who's worried about the future 6 years from now, which is kind of silly, but it's built into all of us because we've seen where this franchise could go, is to extend AJ Preller.
Can I just say one thing really quickly? And I promise him the last thing about the deadline, which is
it about a boat?
It is not about a boat. This is about it's about a plane. I'm going to do aviation corner.
We're building it as we fly.
Ships! Those are airships!
Those are airships. Ben Clemens made this point in his Winners and Losers / Force of Nature article about AJ Preller. And he basically said, by trading away these guys, AJ's created open spots on all these minor league rosters, because he traded away a lot of guys, but he didn't trade away every guy he's drafted. And guess what? Some of those guys are going to hit for a 900 OPS in Fort Wayne, and they wouldn't have even had the opportunity to do that. And you're going to, what about this guy? What about Brickety Bosworth or whatever? Brickety Bosworth. Oh, shit. This third baseman's lighting the Midwestern League on fire, And he'll be a Florida Marlin, or Miami Marlin, whatever, by Christmas, and that's just another thing that wasn't even possible before. So I'm just still flabbergasted by the whole thing.
Yeah, I hear Exeter Exum got 3 hits last night in Lake Elsinore.
Oh my God.
He's got helium. Kid's on the rise.
Maybe AJ's secret is he just goes to the J.K. Rowling name generator and figures out which prospect has the closest name to one of the Ravenclaws of lore, and then just drafts that person. We can never know.
Boston Bateman, Cruz Schoolcraft. Come on. These are all crisis actors. They always have been.
Should we talk about the Padres?
Yeah. I mean, we have been the whole time, kind of philosophically.
Yeah.
It's a big
just
week.
very, very briefly, of all everyone improved. I personally believe that the 6 teams in playoff position are the 6 teams that will make the playoffs in the National League. I do not believe the Reds can catch any of them. And there's no one else. Everyone else sold off, unless there's a crazy sell-off and win 20 in a row out of some team. I think these are the 6 teams. I think all the teams improved. I kind of think the Padres improved the most.
Yeah.
But post-deadline, who's the NL team that you are most scared of now?
For me, it's still the Phillies. The Phillies
That's
have
kind of what I was going to say.
Yeah, they did enough to fortify the bullpen, which was kind of their question mark. That their lineup is just like us. They have their dogs. Schwarber's expiring this year, but he's built into that team as much as anyone. And Duran can be filthy. He had a little bit of a mixed year this year, but getting him, and they will get Jose Alvarado back, although not for the playoffs. And just Zach Wheeler is a friggin' stud, and Ranger Suarez can absolutely shut us down. They got Jesus Luzardo in the offseason. He's a wizard. And Christopher Sanchez. So like that rotation can be dominant, but just going against them in the playoffs, you have as many rolls of the dice as you can, but their lineup is good. The rotation is better than anyone's, and they did enough in the bullpen to make me feel like they're now the favorite.
Yeah, it's so bizarre that I almost feel like this is the first year that certainly I've been following the team, and certainly the first years that we've been doing this, where like the Dodgers don't scare me as much in a 7-game series as they do in a 5-game series or in a wild card series, which I don't even think that that's possible technically at this point. I guess if they got the 3 seed and we got the 6 seed, like we could theoretically play them in a wild card series. But because I just think that the Dodgers, they're battered by injuries this year, and their depth which is what was always the thing that they had against us, is just sort of evaporated. And even last year, like the Dodgers, like they had to throw a bullpen game in Game 4. They did it brilliantly, but they were out of guys. Like they didn't do that because they wanted to. It was out of necessity. And like to me, like Philadelphia is way scarier in a 7-game series because of the rotation, because they've shored up their bullpen stuff, and that lineup is just relentless. Like truly, truly relentless. If you look at it 1 through 9, you're like, oh, I never get a break. Because you think about like the Padres lineup, okay, like you got the 9 spot. The catcher's always going to be in the 9 spot. Mike Schultz just always going to put them. Well, the Phillies have JT Realmuto in that spot. You know what I mean? And he's not hitting 9.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
They've got who's their center fielder? Johan Rojas,
Marsh,
like he's
or Rojas.
or Marsh.
Yeah.
Marsh will be in the 9 hole. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it just doesn't stop. And whereas the Padres have created a team that I think is specifically built to beat the Dodgers. I mean, that's part of the reason why you create the 5-finger death punch in the bullpen, is saying now,
right,
I can deploy these guys every time against the top of that order. Every single time it's going in late in games, it's going to be Mason Miller or Adrian Morejon or Robert Suarez, and that's it. Philly, with that depth, I don't know. I'm a little freaked out. And that's also to say nothing about the Mets, who I know we just saw, but the Mets are a good team, and they did just chew up all of the relievers in the National League. They got Tyler Rogers. They got Gregory Soto. They got someone else too, Helsley, right?
Helsley.
They got Helsley. They got Helsley. They got Helsley. So, that's going to be very scary. Like they're no walk in the park either. And lest we forget the NL Central teams. I mean, I got to go to Wrigley Field and see the Cubs in July. Cubs are good, man. Cubs got some thump.
They're a really good team. Yeah.
They're a good team.
They're a really good team, guys. It's a trick question.
They didn't do too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I asked you a question, but it was a trick question. The answer is always LA. And it'll always be LA. It's LA. That's the team in front of us. That's always the team in front of us. We can't lose sight of that.
I think
the goal
we're
is to
gonna
beat
pass 'em,
them
Craig.
this month.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. And here's the reason why I would subscribe to the theory. This is just the one thing I'm not disrespecting LA. This is my point. I'm not going to put any other team above them yet. Okay? But I am building a case against the 2025 Dodgers. And the case I'm building against the 2025 Dodgers is that they won the World's Championship and then asked their two best players to do so much more.
Yep.
And I think the decision to make Mookie Betts a full-time shortstop was just an error. I just think that was a huge mistake by LA. And the fact that he's still hitting 240 at the start of August, and I get it. He's Mookie Betts. He's scary. If we face him in the playoffs and he hit 240 for the whole season with 14 homers, I'm still going to be nervous when he's at the plate. But I'm going to honestly think that wiry little fella is a bit worn down, that he's a bit gassed because he never had to do this in his career before, and now he's doing it in the big leagues. Similarly, but even more so, doing what Shohei Ohtani does is fucking impossible because no one's ever done it for a reason. And now he's rehabbing in big league games while keeping his at-bats, hurting himself with a cramp, whatever, and then still staying in the game, striking out all over the place. Listen, he's got almost 40 home runs. No one's complaining about Shohei Ohtani's life. But I think when you've got as small margins as exist in big league baseball, Freeman's been bad for months. His OPS has been 600 for over a month. You ask your number one and number two guys, hey, you know what? You were great last year. You led us to a World Series. Now, Shohei, you went 50-50. How about you start pitching again? Well, of course, he said, I'm going to pitch. Mookie, we sent you back to right field and we won a World Series. We're putting you back at short because we're so smart and you're so great. You're going to be able to do it. They haven't. Not to say that they can't. Not to say that they won't. But they haven't. And with all of that, the Dodgers are still, 18 games, over 500. So they're still the team. To me, they're still the team. They're the team until they lose. But they've asked so much of Betts and Ohtani. I'm hoping chickens come home to roost in October. What did we learn from the Cardinals series? Let's go through it quickly. I was there Friday night. The vibes all weekend were just through the roof. Mason Miller coming in was sick, but Friday, Nick Pivetta throwing 7, set up the whole weekend, honestly. I thought it was going to be a sweep. Randy Vasquez, who is now, as we have found out, getting optioned out for Nestor Cortez, gave up a 4-0 lead. In particular, he hung one curveball just horribly to Pedro Paez. Maybe his ugliest pitch of the season, to be honest.
100%.
For a long 3-run homer that turned that game completely around. And Cardinals come up with a win. But then today, Sunday, I think this is the game I want to talk about because sometimes, guys, the best trade is the trade you don't make.
Wait, what?
Not trading Dylan Cease.
Oh, yeah. I thought they made all the trades, Craig.
5 innings, 1 hit, no walks, 9 Ks. Maybe it was not no walks, but 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 9 Ks. That's the Dylan Cease you need. And I just wonder if after everything that happened, him getting the kind slip back, hey, you're here, we believe in you, if that's the push he needs for the last 10 starts.
I mean, bro did have noise about him getting traded literally way before the season even started, and it never fully went away. So these are people, I'm sure there's a chance it got to him. And I will never, ever, ever complain about Dylan Cease having 90 pitches and 9 strikeouts. You know, he can go 5 innings now, and it's not a problem at all. If he's generating as many swings and misses as he did today, I thought I saw a stat that he is the only pitcher on the Padres with 4 games where he induced more than 20 swings and misses. Nobody else has done that. That makes sense with the Padres starting pitching profile. You know, hopefully it's just a new day for Dylan. We've said it a couple of times this year because he has turned in starts like this, but the Cardinals know him by now pretty damn well, and he went out and took care of business against them. My biggest takeaway is the length of the lineup, man. It goes to what you were talking about, the Phillies having Marsh bat 9. The Dodgers are all beat up, so it's not quite the same with them right now. But Freddie Fermin is going to turn in a quality at bat. What a tremendous bunter. But Jake Cronenworth batting 8th is just so sexy. I mean, a pitcher has to confront Jake Cronenworth at 8, because if just the cold hand of probability gets into you and you walk Freddie Fermin, you're facing Fernando Tatis Jr., and he's been an on-base machine lately, but the slug is always there. So Jake becomes a really key at bat, and it's 8th in the lineup. So yeah, the trade not done of Dylan being on the team could be huge, but every single day we're going to see this long of a lineup from going on now forward, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Quick Fermin thought. The most impressive thing I saw him do this weekend was not bunting. It was not a nice line drive single to the opposite field that he had when he got on in the 7th inning, which started the whole rally that ultimately put the game away. It's that when Tatis came up, the very next pitch, he went from first to third, which is not something we've seen a catcher do. And that actually enabled Fernando to go and get a double because and leg it out, right. which if Diaz or Maldonado is up there, Fernando's on first base.
Great point.
Like, and that's something that just having a somewhat athletic catcher, like, just changes so much about the lineup. So yeah, I mean, I thought the way they handled Dylan Cease today was fantastic. And I don't want to say it was a reaction to what happened with Randy Vasquez, but Dylan Cease faced 18 batters exactly today. And I know that was a clean break with 5 innings, but he went twice through the order. And then they said, hand it to 5-finger death punch until the game briefly got out of hand and they let David Morgan go. And then it kind of came back in, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you know, what happened with Randy on Saturday was they let him go and face the first 3 or 4 batters in the 3rd time through the order. And
for the first time in like a month and a half.
Yeah. And it was
2
like
months.
Icarus flying a little close to the sun, where it was like, what are we kind of, again, it was like, what's the whole point of building this little super pen if you're going to let Randy Vasquez face hitters 3rd time through the order? And the Padres paid for it. And yeah, Estrada wasn't on his game last night. And maybe we can start talking about that, where Estrada on Saturday and Morejon today turned in just some straight up stinkers. They just like weren't good outings. And my question for the two of you is that just, hey, it happens in baseball sometimes. What are you going to do? Sometimes you don't have it every day, blah, 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 blah. Or is it's August 3rd. We've ridden these guys for 4 months straight, and the signs of fatigue are there. Concernometer, I guess.
I'm not going to use that accent, the blah, blah, blah accent, but I am going to say Adrian Morejon has been spotless for 2 months, and that's not sustainable. You know, the dude hasn't given up an earned run since the flowers were still abloom and the hills were green. I mean, they still might be wherever you are, but, you know, the birds were still chirping. Spring was going on the last time Adrian Morejon gave up an earned run. So, like, it was going to come up. You know, that card is in the deck of being a Major League Baseball player. Sure, we've talked about it many times. You got to worry about them being worn down. But the emergence of David Morgan, you know, bringing that filthy K rate that we saw in the minor leagues to the big leagues, striking out the side today, a day after pitching 2 strong innings. And Mason Miller, like, I don't think we have to worry about it as much as we did 4 days ago.
I don't either. And I'm going to come down strongly on one side of this. In fact, this would be my takeaway from the building of the five-finger death punch. I think the biggest adjustment is going to be rest, because unlike the first 4 months of the season, the four horsemen are now getting rest. Adrian Morejon's last outing was Tuesday. So he had rested all week, and then he came out there and pitched the ninth inning of a 7-0 game, literally because they needed to give him an inning. And you know what? He was completely off his game today. His release point was off. He was missing his pitches, and it looked straight up to me not like a tired pitcher. It looked like a pitcher who wished he had thrown 3 times this week because he lost his spot. When Estrada came in on Saturday, he walked the first guy on 4 pitches. He hasn't been working the number of outings that he has before. Adam went almost a whole week in between outings before he came in for the 6th inning today. And I'm here to say this is a good thing. This is a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
It's just going to take the horsemen a minute to adjust to getting 3 or 4 days rest, as opposed to pitching every other day for 4 months straight, which is basically what they did, except for the days that they pitched back to back. So I think there's a little bit of, variability. If you don't see Morejon for 5 straight days and he comes in a 7-0 game, he might not look sharp. I think if they had brought him in when it was 2-0, it might have been a different story. But it is, Mason Miller is used to getting the call every time the A's get a lead, which means twice a month. But nonetheless, today he didn't pitch in a close game. Now he's rested, Wednesday, Thursday, pitched Friday, Saturday. He's rested 4 out of 5 days. He could come out tomorrow in Arizona and be too amped up, but this is a beautiful problem that Niebla will manage over the course of the next 2 months, because I guarantee you in the playoffs, the five-finger death punch is rolling out every time the Padres have a lead from the 4th inning onward.
Your mouth to God's ear, man. I really hope so. But we got to get there.
Suarez caught that ball today. How sick was that?
That was sick. That was just cool.
Drive just went to God right there. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt your thoughts. Just when you said your lips to God's ears, I thought about Suarez pointing up.
No, we actually talk about this a good amount on Pods Above Replacement, so I was just kind of going back to that. Listen to Pods Above Replacement. They'll be dropping periodically throughout the week. Just stay tuned on that. The last thing I'll say is, Chris, you mentioned Laureano's Apo Taco today, and it was just like, oh yeah, that's a thing that can happen now. You can have a left fielder who can slug 500. That's something we haven't had in San Diego. I guess we had it, briefly with Jerks and Profar last year, but yeah, that's just a thing that regularly happens on a lot of baseball teams that we've just been doing without all year. And now that hole is plugged, and he'll be here next year too. I'm just so stoked on this team, guys.
Yeah, you look at the lineup now, dude, and, earlier in the season, you would look at it, and Jason Hayward was in there with a 400 OPS. Martin Maldonado was in there with a 400 OPS, and same with Martin Maldonado. They had fill-ins, and now the only guy sub 700 is Freddie Fermin, and that's perfectly fine because you can have one of those spots in your lineup. But now they have 4 dudes who are slugging more than 800, have an OPS higher than 800, including the slugging gods, Ryan O'Hearn and Laureano. Manny had a rough day today. Manny looked bad at the plate, and you weren't worried about it. Nando not looking completely comfortable at the plate, but you're not worried about it because he's getting on base. Nando cannot fall out of that leadoff spot. I've seen that talk a lot. No matter what happens with the lineup, he's got to be up top because his worst case, his floor is a dude who can draw a walk and then steal second base. And that's what you want up top.
Yeah, I think it's 7 or 8 straight games that Fernando's drawn a walk. Longest streak of his career. and just keep at it. Keep at it. No one has to be the hero anymore. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go up there and go, I'm Superman. If I don't get a hit, we're not going to score. Just echoing what you said, Chris. 5 hits out of the 7-9 spot, couple homers out of those spots today. That's how 7 straight games the Padres have scored 4 runs or more. And remember, it was just like 3 podcasts ago that I kept like on a 3-minute egg timer saying into this mic, half the games they've scored 3 runs or fewer. Half the games. Well, now 7 straight games they went over that mark. Guess what? They won 6 out of 7. If they score 4 runs or more the next 7 games, they're going to win 5 or 6 out of 7. Like, guaranteed. This team gets to 4 runs, they're going to win. Like, all the time. Which leads me to the week to come. At Arizona, the Diamondbacks, well, you know, they're just a couple relievers away to have. They just missed their ceiling. So sorry.
Oh, you did it to my boy.
They've traded Naylor. They've traded Suarez. They're at this point, it's more of I fear the snake's bite. Like, we should go beat the Snakes. They traded Kelly. Come on, they gutted their team. We should go beat the Snakes. Yep. I only fear, like, you know, go down there. I don't think we will. I think this team's on a roll. I think it's time to go beat up on Arizona, win 2 or 3 out of 3, and then you come home to Boston. What a fascinating team Boston is, having traded Rafael Devers. They've got a better record since. The Giants have a worse record since they acquired Rafael Devers. I don't know if Devers is the single driving force behind both of those things, but Boston's a pretty good team. I think it's going to be an interesting weekend at Petco Park. I just love the direction this Padres team is on right now, and I'm expecting good things. I'm expecting 4 or 5 or 6 wins this week.
Yeah, I kind of look at the between
that high, Rafe?
4 or 5 or 6 wins this week.
Yeah, we play 3 against Arizona. We play 3 against Boston. That's 6 games. 4 and 2 is the least I accept.
Is the least you accept? Okay. Well, let me just. I think that I would be thrilled with 4 and 2, and I'll say yes to the Padres going 4 and 2, and that might be 3 wins against Arizona and a loss to Boston. Who's to say? And one win against Boston. Who's to say? I think of us looking up at the Dodgers and me schedule watching the rest of the season as, I don't know if you guys watch tennis, but like basically the Dodgers held serve this weekend. You know what I mean? Like they won 2 out of 3, Padres won 2 out of 3, hold serve. And the Padres are down 3 breaks right now on the season, and they need to break the Dodgers 3 times. And so that's going to be the Padres getting a sweep and the Dodgers winning 2 out of 1. Or the Padres winning 2 out of 1 and the Dodgers, losing 2 out of 3. So that's how I'm watching the rest of the season. And then, of course, when they have 2 series against the Dodgers, those are 0-sum series. Someone's going to break someone else. So I'm not super familiar with the Dodgers schedule. That's maybe something I could be pulling up right now. But I certainly
got it right
know
here in front of me. They got
okay. Lay it on me.
They got the Cardinals and the Blue Jays at home this week. Then they will take on the Angels, and then it begins. Padres Dodgers for 3 games in LA, the 15th to the 17th, and then Dodgers Padres for 3 games here in San Diego, the 22nd through the 24th.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've
It's going to get exciting, guys.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Fire. No, that's it. I mean, it's just I'm completely in line with you, Raphie. The next 2 weeks is just about, can we pick up a game here or there against LA? Can we not drop ground? Can we pick up a game here or there and then get into the head-to-head? And if you get into the head-to-head and you're only 2 or 1 game out, all of a sudden a 4 and 2 is enough to take the division lead. And if you get out of the final 2 series against LA with the lead and you can hold the lead coming out of it, chance to grow it. Padres have a beautiful schedule in September.
I'm greedier than you guys, man. I feel like this is new season. I want to see new season energy, 7-0 energy. I want to see them set their highest win streak of the year in the next 6 weeks or so. And, why not start tomorrow? I'm feeling very shoresy, fellas. I'm feeling very never lose again.
We're never going to lose again.
Like, I know that's how Padres fans feel watching every game with this energy, and I want to see it translate to the team, and I feel like it has a good chance of doing so. And the next time we face the Dodgers, it is just we'll be talking about it on our next show, because there'll be the weekend series the week after next. They're driving up to North County after a little series in San Francisco against the Giants. And I want to be playing not just for the division. I want to be playing for a 2-game cushion, a 3-game cushion in the division. And with Tommy Edman going on the IL, Max Muncy's coming back, but he hasn't been good. The Dodgers are just super thin right now. Freeman's hitting better, but Shohei left his last start early. I just smell blood in the water, man. And I would love for the Padres to go into September and October with the same exact energy they had last year, but with the lessons learned, and that's got to start soon. I'm not saying 6-0 this week, but I'm right there with you, Craig. I think 4-2 is where this team's got to be.
All right. Without anything else, let's go ahead and close up the shop. Thanks to everybody. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Our community continuing to grow and grow over the last couple of weeks. Live post games after Padres wins. So we're hoping to do 6 of them this coming week. Let's see what happens. But be a part of it.
JP Sears tomorrow, boys.
I'm all about JP Sears. Wouldn't love him debuting in Arizona.
Yeah.
But
he needs more time with Ruben. Ruben will get a good look tomorrow. It'll be great.
I'm excited. And I actually think Nestor Cortez could be quite helpful to this team. You don't trade a monster out of your roster like Brandon Lockridge and not expect – you don't trade for Nestor Cortez and be like, cool, go to AAA. Go hang out. We only have your control for 2 months, but go hang out. We might call you if we need you. No, you put him in the rotation. You find out what's going to happen. So we're going to find out.
Leadoff hitter for the best record in baseball, Brandon Lockridge. Put some respect on his name.
If Brandon Lockridge 1,000 OPS is over the next month, I'm convinced the Brewers have some sort of trash can of Jace scheme that they've implemented.
Pat Murphy's got like a jar of chewing tobacco with a sensor in it. And it just like tingles inside everybody's lips.
When he spits left, it's curved. When he spits right.
Yeah.
No,
maybe. For sure.
I'm throwing that out there. Go grab your tinfoil. What's going on with the Brewers? What's going on with the Brewers? What's going on up there? How is Lockridge hitting for 1,000?
Padres Hot Tub, where we do our own
great
research.
Show, yes, indeed. And come to our own conclusions.
Yeah.
Oh, and we'll do it again later this week. But until then, go Padres.